India has 100 million diabetes, which is like 10 crores, and 130 million pre-diabetics.
What does Fitterfly do in very layman language?
So my dad has struggled with diabetes for so many years, and I've seen him. And I always thought that diabetes to karte hain, khate bhi hain, but I realized that what you look on the surface, when you go deep inside, it's not true.
How does one realize when he or she is on the verge of becoming diabetic?
So the most important test to do is a blood sugar test, fasting and postprandial blood sugar, or a HbA1c test.
What time one must go to sleep ideally?
What you should aim at is at least 7 hours of good quality uninterrupted sleep on a good bed at the right temperature.
This episode is for every diabetic or a heart patient, so don't miss it. Meet Dr. Arbinder Singal, founder and CEO of Fitterfly, a diabetic reversal platform which helps to prevent and save you from severe health conditions like obesity, diabetes, any health conditions. This episode will help you to understand how to prevent or remove diabetes, how to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and how Dr. Arbinder raised 120 crores from venture capital funds. He's a super chilled guy and a doctor turned serial entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Arbinder Singal only on Level Up. Enjoy this episode. To Level Up Podcast Season 2, where our purpose is to help India's youth become smarter and better individuals by sharing successful stories of founders. To help us achieve this purpose, please do subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell below so that we can make more such videos and this video can reach maximum people. All right. Good evening, Dr. Sahab. I wanted to call you by Dr. Sahab. That was my introduction which I wanted to do. But good evening, Dr. Arbinder Singal. Nice to have you here. A very interesting startup that you've built, and when I was doing research on it, so I found it really interesting. I had not heard about it, to be honest, before. But then when I went and I did some reading, very interesting to know about Fitterfly and what you've built, and we're going to come to that. But before that, just how are you doing today after so much of delay and patience as we spoke?
You learn the value of patience only when you've gone through a couple of startups. But it has been a good day so far. It's a mixture of things: workout in the morning, being in the company, interacting with investors, and finally ending the day with this nice podcast with you.
Wonderful. We are grateful to have you here. Before we move into your Fitterfly journey and stuff like that, I want to know about your doctor journey. कैसे शुरू हुआ? Why did you become a doctor? Why MBBS? How did that journey begin?
So when I was growing up, the most important thing was education and topping the exams. Okay. So that's what I did. District first, state first. So then came a choice: engineer banna hai, doctor banna hai. That's the only thing my dad knew: engineer and doctor. Because physics is required for both the things. I chose medicine because I knew in the society, at least in my city, Barnala, where I grew up in Punjab, doctors were very, very well respected. Okay. Engineering way back in 1993 was not so mainstream. So I chose to be a doctor, and then I was number 1 in Punjab, number 2 in AFMC, number 8 in All India. So went to do my MBBS. Fortunately, there also I topped the university. Then went to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, did my surgery. And you don't get to think. You drift along, and you in this isolated ecosystem where doctors see only doctors and you see only patients, and you're in that channel where you don't know what's happening in the rest of the world. So from 1993 to 2005, I didn't even know what a share market is. What is a company? Nothing. Just very focused towards becoming the best I can at doing surgeries, at helping children with kidney problems. And I really enjoyed that. It was very good. Training from the best institute in India, then going to US and getting trained, coming back. It was all very good. But in 2006, we shifted to Bombay. My wife is
from Punjab.
From Delhi.
Delhi.
We settled in Delhi after my training.
Okay.
Because my wife got a very good job offer in Bombay, and most of the time women doctors, when they're very young, they don't get very good job offers. She got a good job offers, and I heard Bombay is better for women in general. So that's why we shifted to Bombay, and first 3 years I really struggled. And then from there, my journey in 2010 began with technology and startups. And I learned what a company means, what share market means, what investing means. So that's how the journey has been. I still do surgeries 1 day a week because I think it's important for the doctor to stay connected with one-on-one healthcare. But the overall ambition has changed in the last 10 years to how I can use my medical knowledge, how I can use my influence, how I can use my connections, how I can use my technology knowledge to help lot many more people.
How did you get technology knowledge?
Yeah, so 2010 I got into an accident where my hand got injured and I couldn't do surgeries for 6 weeks. And that was the first time in my life when I realized that if you cannot do surgeries, you're nothing. As a surgeon, because surgery is the only, it's like a manual labor. Let's call it that we are plumbers. When the pipe gets blocked, I'm a urologist. So when the pipe gets blocked, the pipe is leaking, a urologist is called to fix that pipe. And if your hands are not there, you're gone. At that time, my one hand was in a cast for almost 6 weeks and I had one hand free. So I started reading about coding and HTML, CSS. I coded my first website.
Oh, wow.
In 2010, I wrote 300 pages of content about cases, case histories. Fortunately, I have a habit of recording everything. Since 1999, whatever surgeries I've done, I had the case records. Right, for memes, pictures, case records. So I started writing case histories. Content creation, right. I loved it. With one hand, I used to sit and just type. When then I was off to Stanford in US, I was living alone. Parents were in Punjab, sitting alone, all free time because no surgeries. So that's the time when I realized, and I started getting instant lot of hits on internet, and that's when internet was very nascent then. Then I started that this can change, this can become something else. Then I started my first company in bringing doctors like me who are super specialists onto one platform for giving opinions worldwide. So that was the first company, and from there, a lot of things started happening, and there's no turning back after that.
All right. So interesting to know this, right? So you've been a fitness enthusiast, I believe, right? And I think even you focus or you give importance a lot to nutrition and all. That's what I could figure out from while I was researching on you, right? Tell me something when typically a person, when they get into nutritionist or diet or fitness or something like that, when something has happened to them, right? When I fall sick.
Reactive versus proactive.
Yeah, reactive generally hota hai. It's not proactive in most of the cases. Very few people are there who are like gym enthusiasts because they really like going, or they are into diet or something like that because they have a goal or something that ye achieve karna hai ya ye main karta hu, this is my passion or whatever. Most of them are reactive. What was your reason of getting into this? One is of course you are a doctor, तो ठीक है, एक हेल्थ का एक माइंड में रहता है कि डॉक्टर मैं खुद आई नीड टू प्रैक्टिस व्हाट आई प्रीच आल्सो इन अ मैनर.
Lot of doctors don't do this.
Yeah,
you have seen enough doctors with bulging bellies.
So a lot of them don't do also. But chalo, let's assume one reason for you is that. What is that?
That was not the reason.
So what is the actual reason?
So my dad has struggled with diabetes for so many years, and I've seen him, and I always thought that sarvar to karte hain, khate bhi hain, but I realized that what you look on the surface, when you go deep inside, it's not true. The things are very different on surface and on the depth. So one was seeing my dad struggle with diabetes, heart attack, and all those things. I've lost 2 first cousins because of diabetes. Kidney transplant failed and they died post kidney transplant. So I've seen the struggle up front, and I know that I carry a very high burden of those genes. 70% of adults in my family have had diabetes. So I'm like, at least 70-80 tak to health chalana hai अच्छे से. So that was the calling. So since the age of 30, I'm turning almost 50 now next year. So I've invested a lot into just understanding what health should be. And there's a concept of lifespan and health span. So lifespan is how long you live. If somebody is living till 80, that's a lifespan. Second concept is a health span. Out of how many of those years you were living a fully functional life without any chronic illnesses, without limitations to your activity, without having a unhealthy aging. So the whole of humankind, you will see in the next 10 years, our comforts, money, everything will be paid off. People will be thinking of only how to increase their health span. So I understood this concept when I was 30, 32, and I started investing heavily into understanding what are the key things which will increase a person's health span. And if you're living for 80 years, can you live 75 years out of those 80 years staying healthy without any chronic disease and achieving your full potential in relationships, in professional things, and in personal development?
That you can walk, you can use your hands,
you can go hiking,
you
can travel independently, you're not going to doctors regularly, you're not on any major medications. That became the calling, and that has been the journey for the last 10-15 years.
So something happened in your family, and that made you realize that this is something
Yeah.
which is very much natural. It could come to you. Like there are high
Absolutely.
chances that
High
it
risk
can come
factor.
to you.
So every disease has two causative factors. One is the genetic,
Hmm.
second is the epigenetic, which is the lifestyle risk.
Okay.
So you can actually, the latest research is showing you can change the expression of your genes if you modify your lifestyle. If you modify your lifestyle, certain bad genes can be switched off and some good genes can be turned on. But if your lifestyle is bad, and even if your genetic risk is mild, but your lifestyle is bad, then all your bad genes expression will be amplified and good genes will be suppressed. So actually, by changing your lifestyle and doing the epigenetic risk factor modification, you can change the expression of your genes.
For this, do you need to come to a doctor, or you can do it on your own with
You
your
can
own
do it on your own
knowledge?
with the latest DIY kind of systems like what we are building at Fitterfly. Actually, you don't need a doctor for a lot of those stuff, especially in the early stages. Early stages when you're just a high risk person, or there's very early signs of blood test changing, or then very newly diagnosed kind of thing, you don't need a doctor at that stage. Only when your markers reach a certain stage, I believe it's already too late by then. So most of the doctors will, for example, recommend treating cholesterol when it's crossed 220, or your LDL has crossed 120, or your blood sugar has crossed 6.5, or a fasting blood sugar more than 120. I think it's already too late because you were on that road of worsening 5 or 10 years before that. So in that stage, you should treat yourself by yourself. You can completely do a DIY. Companies like Fitterfly, a lot of other companies out there, there's enough knowledge on Google, and there's enough good books being written by experts in the field on longevity and good health. You can do a lot of those things by yourself.
Have you written any book?
I haven't written books, but I do a lot of videos. I do write a lot of articles. I speak at conferences, speaking about the things which I've learned. And these are very, very simple things to do. The only thing it requires is you to be committed to doing them and enjoying them.
How does one, when he or she is on the verge of becoming diabetic?
So the most important test to do is a blood sugar test, fasting and postprandial blood sugar, or a HbA1c test. Typically, diabetes is diagnosed when your fasting blood sugar goes above 126 or your HbA1c crosses 6.5. But pre-diabetes is a stage ideally when we should treat it. In pre-diabetes, your HbA1c crosses 5.7. In a normal person, it's below 5.7. So it's not reached 6.5, but it's above 5.7.
5.7 to 6.5.
Yeah. Or your fasting blood sugar has started crossing 100.
100 to 126.
That's the stage when ideally you should intervene. India has 100 million diabetes, which is like 10 crores, and 130 million pre-diabetics. So out of these 130 million, every year 15% go into diabetes. And India has the highest progression rates from pre-diabetes to diabetes. In the worldwide, it's 10%. India, it's 15%.
And it's the highest diabetic nation also, no?
Highest diabetic nation. But what we are seeing is the tip of the iceberg. This is what you're seeing, 100 million. These 130 million are going to move into diabetes every year, 10 to 15% of them. So we are not doing anything for them, which is people like me. My HbA1c was 6.3, almost going into diabetes, blood sugar swinging, and now it is 5.8, normal, no medications, no diabetes, 5 years now. So I have used all the technology, tested it on myself to make sure that I want to be diabetes free for another 10 years, at least 10, 15 years. And I'm sure with what I'm doing with my lifestyle, with what we are doing at Fitterfly, we can keep doing that for a lot of people.
Coming to Fitterfly, if there are so many normal people who are going to watch this episode, listen to you, what does Fitterfly do in a very layman language?
So what Fitterfly does is very interesting actually. I'll say it very simply. If you're a person with diabetes, you go to a doctor. Doctor will tell you, eat healthy, go for a walk, don't take stress, and take this medication and come back in 3 months. But essentially, this is completely non-actionable advice. What Fitterfly does is, it will understand how your body works. What happens to your blood sugar every 15 minutes. So we use a device called continuous glucose monitoring device. It's like a small device which is put here like a sticker. And every 15 minutes we get a blood sugar reading.
On your skin? Or on your
Yeah, it's a small filament which goes under the skin. So it sticks here. And what you get is a very good data of what is happening to your blood sugar with various foods. Suppose you had paratha in the morning. what happened to that blood sugar? If you had mango, what happened? If you went for a walk, what happened? If you ate a medication, what happened? What happened during sleep? Now, this data is very, very important in understanding what are the things you need to do to lower that blood sugar. I'll give you an example. Anytime I used to love Maggie, and anytime I eat Maggie, my blood sugar was going up by 60.
So you could see it. So for example, if I'm eating something, and that device is,
you can see it on your mobile phone.
Achha.
What happened to your blood sugar?
Okay, that device is stuck on this thing, and you
and
have
for
the
14
phone
days.
in your.
Yeah.
So you have to observe your own self for 14 days,
14
see
days.
that chart and the graph.
Yeah. And on the back end, we've created artificial intelligence, which classifies the food by their composition, nutritional composition. What is the carbohydrate value? What is the protein? What is the fiber? And that AI then helps you plan the next set of meals, which won't raise your blood sugar.
Okay.
So everybody, like your diet plan will be completely based on your data, and you can see it in your app why this will be good for you. Versus the general diet plan. You go to a dietitian, she will just see your blood reports and give you a diet plan. She won't know what's happening with ragi, what's happening with wheat, what's happening with rice. So for me, for example, wheat raises my blood sugar more than rice. So I've just cut down wheat by 50%. 20-30% variation is there, but that variation is good enough for us to make a very personalized diet plan. Second thing which we focus, so this is a highly personalized nutrition. The second thing which we focus on is lowering the stress and sleep, lowering the stress levels. So giving you ways so that you can manage your stress much better. And then helping you with sleeping better if you have sleep disturbances. Finally getting you into fitness, a graduated fitness plan, managing your knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain. So combining all these things, when we combine, there comes a plan which is very heavily personalized for you, and you can follow it for life.
How do you make the diet plan or a sleep plan, or make that person sleep better or something? How do you do that?
I'll give a few examples. So diet plan is very easy. Like I wanted to eat mangoes. Doctor said you can't eat mangoes, you're getting into diabetes. Now I'm eating 2 mangoes every day in the summer season, still blood sugars are normal. That's the magic of technology, because I know if I eat a mango at 6 a.m., even 2 mangoes, and go for a run or go to gym, I'm sorted. Or I pair it with some nuts, or I pair it with some protein, then blood sugar doesn't rise. But I maintain my overall calories in the day. I make sure my carbohydrates are less than 50%. There's enough fiber and protein. Very simple mathematics. You can see it on the app. And once you see, now I see a food, I know exactly how my blood sugar will rise. By looking at the plate, I can understand, because I've done that. I can see it in my app, what's going to happen. So diet plan is sorted. So sleep and stress, for sleep, we do a questionnaire, and there's a psychologist who does a call to understand. A lot of people, like, sleep is the biggest problem which we are trying to solve, frankly. Because sleep, so many people in the city of Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore are not sleeping well. And if you don't sleep well, next day your fasting blood sugars will be very high. So you sleep well for 1 month, your blood sugars anyway drop by 10% in the morning. So sleep is one of the biggest superpower. People don't use it. So understanding the quality of sleep, whether you have enough of blue light exposure in the night, whether you're eating the right kind of food, otherwise you wake up hungry in the night, whether your blood sugars are fluctuating in the night, because of which you don't get a good quality of sleep. So all those kind of things, plus certain kind of mental exercises which we give you, you can do that before going to bed, and they'll help you sleep more peacefully.
Like meditation?
Meditation, there are audio guides. There is 4 types of breathing which are possible, and this takes 3 minutes to go to bed. It's like a digital pill. You take those 4 types of breathing exercises are available, which you can do just before going to bed.
This is all on the app?
Everything is on the app.
And the app is accessible to everyone, or anyone who just purchases
so
a
certain
Fitterfly?
Things we have made available for free for everyone, and there are more than 1 lakh app users now. But certain things are locked in the program, which are consultations, certain specialized insight, which are behind a paywall.
What time one must go to sleep at, ideally?
So there are 2 types of chronological people which are there. So you ideally should not prescribe for everyone, because what we realize, you have to observe your peak performance. There are some people who perform very well in the morning, very bad in the afternoon, and again in the evening. So for some people, the peak performance comes actually at night. What you should aim at is at least 7 hours of good quality uninterrupted sleep on a good bed at the right temperature. That is the aim, at least 7 hours of night. And for some people, an afternoon nap of 15 to 20 minutes also works very well along with that. The aim is to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. Doesn't matter what time you sleep. You can sleep at 12 also if your maximum productive hours are like between 10 to 12 in the night. But try to stop working on the computer or mobile phone at least 30 to 45 minutes before you go to bed.
That's very important in
That's very, very
today's time.
So you cannot just shut off the computer and go to bed. You won't get a good quality of sleep because there's a lot of blue light exposure from these devices. So you should either read a book or meditate or go for a short walk before going to bed to cut the blue light exposure.
But many doctors and even even Ayurvedic doctors, and I'll come to this Ayurvedic part also, they suggest that one must sleep at 10:30 p.m.
Ideally, yes.
For a very good holistic lifestyle, basically.
Ideally, they say you should synchronize your sleeping cycle to the sun and the sunlight.
And
that's
even
the best
eating,
way to do it.
and even eating.
And even eating.
Yeah.
You should ideally
Eat before
finish by
sunset.
7, 8. You have 2 hours of gap before going to bed. Then you'll naturally get up. But you know that today's modern lifestyle, living in cities like Bombay, a lot of people won't even reach home at 10. And people who are working in IT industry, people who are running startups, people who are doctors, they are working till 10. You know doctors who work till 10. You know your CA friends who are filing the reports till 10, 11. It's not possible. So sometimes what was true in Vedic tradition in our olden time when there were no lamps, no computers, that can no longer be followed. So we cannot adjust ourselves to that. We have to adjust those things to now. I think that's the way the life will progress.
Yeah, I think many of the Ayurvedic doctors, I think tend to forget that also sometimes. That
Yeah, lot of not only
normal
Ayurvedic,
doctors also.
normal doctors also. They will ask you to do things which are not practical, and they themselves are not doing it. So you should understand the person's lifestyle and make a plan for him which they will be able to follow. Now imagine you tell a Punjabi कि आपके लिए Bengali food बड़ा अच्छा है वो खा लो. It's not going to happen. He would love to eat Punjabi food. You have to make adjustments within the Punjabi food. Now a person who travels 3 days a week for a job, आप उसको बोलोगे कि आप travel मत करो. Where will his... So you'll have to actually make a plan which will take care of his traveling needs. Somebody who works in the night shift, उसको diabetes है, आप उसको बोलोगे night shift बंद कर दो. नहीं possible है ना. Where will you give him income? His job requires him to work at night. Then you will make a plan for him which cuts down the negative effects of working in the night, still takes his night plans into account and helps him be healthier.
Give me some examples of your consultations, what you have done for maybe a couple of patients where you all have adjusted this holistically with the nutrition, with
So
the
I'll give you an
sleep,
example
without disturbing his schedule, but adjusting in his schedule and making sure that he's got those results now.
So biggest problem which we face these days is with office workers. People are sitting on the computer for 8-10 hours or on a call center. They have knee pain, shoulder pain, back pains. So we have a very simple set of exercises called chair aerobics for them. Chair aerobics. They do that 5 minutes 3 times a day, and their back pain, shoulder pain, everything is sorted. And then there are a set of exercises before going to bed. So just ensuring that they sleep enough in the night if they're on a daytime shift. Those kind of things are taken care of. Then a lot of these people get into smoking and addictions because that's a culture built up. Then how do you say no? There are smoking cessation sessions which happen. Then a lot of people eat unhealthy in the canteens because the food is packed and kept in such a way that you go to the canteen, they're tempted to eat a pav bhaji regularly. Once in a week, everybody should enjoy. But then how do you pack your tiffin? How do you keep it fresh? How do you carry your medicines on time? So all those things are a part of the program where we understand the lifestyle and try to help people solve those problems.
But give me an example of a patient that you have solved his problem. He's become, probably he was pre-diabetic or already a diabetic, and you've helped him reduce or come to a...
Thousands of stories. If you
give
go
some
to
very good interesting one, just say maza
So the
aa jaye
recent
sun
one
ke.
which came, so this guy was a double amputee.
Double?
Both his legs, double amputation done.
Matlab
Both the
kya
legs
hota
were gone.
Oh, okay.
They were cut because he developed some problem. He had diabetes and blood sugar was already 9.6 HbA1c, which is very advanced. Actually, this person joined our monthly call to speak to the whole company, how we have helped him. So every month we have something called outcomes meeting. The whole company joins that, and we call a patient or a person to come and speak to us, how we've changed their lives. So this person came on the call. He said biggest problem was nobody was willing to give him an exercise plan. And secondly, he was working in a desk job, of course, even without legs. So our coaches really gave him some exercises which were just for upper body. We helped him adjust it to the prostheses which were put before the leg, and then molding around his stress levels, because once his legs were cut, in a very severe state of depression for quite some months. Then helping him cope up with that, help him to look positively towards life, help him have a better sleep, help him get some companionship. We added him to the community. And the first time he got his blood sugar a little down, we called him to the community of other diabetes patients, and he spoke there. Felt very important that helping, and he became a source of inspiration to so many other patients because he said, if I can do it like this, why can't you guys do it? You know, those kind of stories, everybody's crying. Like thousands of patients were crying when they were in the meeting. So it's just empowering those people and understanding their lifestyle. And this patient was very recent. He has finished 6 months. His HbA1c is already normal. 50% of the medications are cut down. He lost 7 kgs of weight, even with no legs. So that's a very, very recent story which 2 months back we presented.
So I think a lot of thing also happens just with putting some good words in their ears, and
Absolutely.
my mom always used to say that there was our one family doctor. We used to go to him when we have normal बुखार है या कुछ भी है ना, हम लोग वहाँ पे जाते थे. So that doctor, he was an old guy, and he was the way he spoke and the words that he used, he already put you in a positive zone that you are well.
Yeah.
तो उन्होंने वैसे he used to, whenever I used to go, because I used to fall sick when I was a kid often, so I used to go there. तो पहले ही उनके शब्द ही वैसे होते थे कि in Gujarati you say कि अच्छा you're going to get, you're already well, what is this, nothing. तो I think that words of encouragement or positivity वहाँ से start हो जाता है, and that is a very important thing that doctors play. कि medication तो वो आएगा ही, but that one encouragement in your head can really put you in that good frame of mind.
Absolutely.
Which can change your outlook, which can change your perspective.
And this is the role I think which teachers and doctors play in the society. Both.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Coming to nutrition, right? See, people generally go for nutrition diet, as I said, right, when they have a particular goal. If there is a layman, जैसे मैं हूँ, मेरे को कोई गोल नहीं है. I don't want 6 packs. I don't have to lose some weight or something like that. And there are so many people who would be just normal, घर का खाना है उनको, normal खाना पीना enjoy करना है, etc. Right? उसके लिए what is the ideal way of having their nutrition, like a good nutrition, which can be घर का खाना also, but what is the ideal nutrition that guy should be following?
Simple nutrition, there are just 3 things if you can monitor for a person like you or a healthy person. So one is just make sure that you use some app to track it. Even if you do it once or twice a year, that's fine. You must check your carbohydrates are not more than 50% of your total calorie intake.
Okay.
Number 2 is make sure there is enough protein. At least 15 to 20% of calories should
come from. Carb is not 50%.
50% or more. Less than 50%.
Of your?
Total calories. So suppose for a person like you, the total calorie intake would be 1400.
Okay.
Which means not more than 700 calories should come from.
So that I can put it on your app.
Yeah, on Fitterfly.
And
you can put it on MyFitnessPal. There are a lot of apps available.
Where
just
you put
understand
the
that carbohydrate 50% se exceed nahi ho rahe. And the second thing, protein is at least 15%. Thirdly, there's enough fiber in the diet. At least 30 grams of fiber per day in the diet is there. So these 3 basic principles, if you follow, then everything else is more nuanced. A person like you doesn't need it. But ये 3 चीज़ follow करोगे तो आपका चलेगा. And then there are finer nuances like avoid processed food as much as possible. Whatever is packaged is not natural. No, naturally नहीं है ना. Nature doesn't make food in a packaged state. So we have to make sure that we don't eat too much of processed food. So that's another one. And probiotics like curds and fermented foods are very, very good. So we try to include that at least once or twice a week into the diet, and hydrate yourself at least.
Try to include that.
हाँ, must include that. Like curd तो daily आपको लेना ही चाहिए. Otherwise fermented foods like dosa and idli you should have at least once a week.
Okay.
And then make sure that you hydrate yourself. A lot of people don't hydrate. So hydration is very, very important. These are the few basic principles which everybody should follow. But unfortunately, we think that whatever is marked as healthy is healthy. But that's not the truth. You've seen a lot of videos about food labels where people are, like even Tropicana का एक video आया था where you saw that Tropicana is 95% sugar. Rest is everything is added flavor, and orange pulp is just 1%. So one good thing which people should do, and in today's modern world we cannot escape packaged foods. Just try to understand how to read food labels. A very good course is available. There are books available. There are videos available on how to read food label. So just make sure that you understand how to. If you're eating packaged food, you should know what you're putting inside your body. So मुंह के अंदर जो जाता है और जो दिमाग के अंदर जो जाता है, उन दोनों चीज़ पे कंट्रोल रखना चाहिए. Because both are going to influence your health. If you keep on reading the negative news about murders, rapes and all those things, it's going to impact you. Those videos keep playing loops in the
The
news channel.
algorithms also.
That's
want-
why I haven't watched TV for 20 years now because of all these
Wow.
things. I don't read normal newspaper because all the normal newspaper have all the negative things up front.
Correct. Even I don't.
You read Economic Times, clearly there are facts and figures there. Or you turn the last page of the newspaper where there's sports, where there's achievement and glory. So I think what goes in your brain and what goes in your mouth are the two most important things which you have a control over. And if you follow the Amazon's philosophy, your inputs will determine your outputs. If you're putting in your body and your mind is good, then there are high chances that the outputs will be better. And these are the only things you can control. You cannot control the output. You can only control the input.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually. It's in a manner what they say, right? You can control the process, you can't control the result. So the process is the input, what you are going to work towards,
Absolutely.
or you're going to keep putting that action.
Absolutely.
And then
you fall down to the level of your systems and processes.
Got it. And let's say if I want to lose 10 kilos, then
It's simple mathematics. You have to induce a calorie difference of 500 kilocalorie per day.
you have to.
Introduce a calorie deficit of 500 kilocalories per day. By doing this, you lose 2 kgs per month. And you lose in a period of about 6 months, you'll be able to lose about 10 kgs. And what happens when you try to lose weight, you'll hit plateaus. First plateau will be when you lose about 5% of your body weight. It'll be easy to lose first 5%, you'll lose it in 2 months. But after that, you will find whatever you're doing won't help you any further. It'll be
Because
very
monotonous,
difficult.
your body gets used to it.
Your body gets. So body is such an efficient machine. If you're burning 70 calories for running 1 kilometer, after 6 months, it'll burn only 60 calories for running that kilometer. It becomes more efficient in running. Similarly, if you
So that same results will not come what you used to get.
So you need to introduce some hacks like intermittent fasting, introducing 1 week of fasting, putting yourself under a little bit of stress to give it a change. Same exercise also stop working, so you need to change your exercise routine. And then you'll hit another plateau at about 10%.
Yeah, you need to keep upgrading. Like it's like upskilling. You need to ये सीख लिया अभी दूसरा क्या you yeah.
But it's very good. Person for a healthy, sustainable weight loss, people should not try to lose more than 2-3 kgs a month. It's unhealthy after that.
Got it. So in today's time, right? So many youngsters who are, following or who look up to athletes, athletes or celebrities, superstars, jo bhi bol lo, right? Whether it's male, female, whatever. They try to embody what those guys have done. So it's very common today when you have so many influencers, so many celebrities, social media, etc. इसने सिक्स पैक बना दिया तो मुझे भी मतलब मुझे वो देख के करना है. It's not my goal or something, but I want to
I want that recognition
Yeah.
that the other person is doing.
Yeah. So that happens a lot. How do you try to one thing is inspiration. Maybe they are inspiring him. That is one thing. That अच्छा आप fit बनो.
Unhealthy inspiration.
Unhealthy inspiration भी हो सकता है. Which is के भाई सिक्स पैक तो पता नहीं उसने क्या खाया है, how he has made it.
Or how much he has dehydrated himself.
How much he has dehydrated himself. Or is it just for one movie? Right? Or is it like a permanent hack or a permanent thing that he's built it into his lifestyle? ये difference लोगों को समझना to make people understand that, especially youngsters, that one thing is okay, that's his lifestyle. He lives by that. Maybe that could be just 10% of the total people who are doing that. And the others are just doing it for their 1-2 roles, या कोई movies है या it's to show off or fashion में or something. How do you try to tell those kind of youngsters के भाई ये थोड़ा you have to understand what what is your intention to do and why
So
are
you should
you
just
following?
ask a very simple question: what's your full-time job? If your full-time job is to flaunt your six packs, then you do that, right? If it's not your full-time job, suppose you're a CA. So your full-time job is being a CA, and you're trying to get six-pack for a person whose full-time job is to have a full-time six-pack. So obviously it cannot be done. So your full-time job is to be a CA. So then probably you should invest in just staying healthy and being fully functional and not have a illness coming up because of your lifestyle.
I think it's very important that you focus on your job, and you can go to a gym or something, but to have that kind of
physique, which is
physique,
unhealthy
which is not,
actually. Six-pack is unhealthy. They're not
Is it?
nature's. Yeah, because you have to really dehydrate yourself, and you have to really.
When you say dehydrate means you don't have to drink water, or you
No,
have
no,
to have
you
extra
drink,
protein,
but
or what?
you have a lot of extra protein. You let go of carbs for a significant amount of time. Plus, you have to do a lot of exercise also. But 70-80% of it is actually nutrition. 20-30% is exercise. But it is not maintainable over a long period of time.
How do people maintain it then for a long time?
So they're focused on it doing like 4-8 hours a day. Like a lot of these Hollywood heroes who have six packs, they work out 4-5 hours a day.
Bollywood में भी है.
4-5 regularly, but they work out 4 hours a day then.
4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours a day. That's if you're not willing to do that and put everything else on back burner, then
So you have to work out and then diet and sleep.
and such kind of workouts over a long period of time do take their tolls. They have repetitive stress injuries, strain injuries, joint deterioration, because you see these stars doing it for like 10 years. But what's going to happen to them at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years of age?
Yeah, but people are though building at 55 also.
Yeah, people are building at 55. But how much of that is natural, we have to know.
That is one question.
So lean body is good. You shouldn't have flabbiness anywhere. That is good. But having a very well-defined six-pack, at least whatever regimes I have seen being done, I don't think they're healthy in the long run. You can do it for a short run to fulfill your six-pack at 40 or six-pack at 50. But after that, you should just try to do something which you can maintain throughout your life.
And which is easy and you have control over it. Like you are not so forcefully and so, crazy about it कि भाई ये करना ही है, इतना six pack करना ही है.
Absolutely.
So a lot of things also very basic as I just saw you adjusting to sit straight. That also impacts your back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think very small things matter a lot is what I'm understanding with this conversation, which probably we are not mindful. And in a day to day, your own job, you're just working, चलते जा रहा है, body चल रही है, but you're not mindful. But these small things matter.
So I used to struggle finishing 10,000 steps a day. There is no major science behind it, but I realized that to incorporate my walking, I have to do one simple hack. Whenever any phone call comes, I start walking. So every day I'm easily able to finish 10. Like in my small cabin, I walk at least 3-4 kilometers per day. I don't take any phone call while sitting.
Okay.
The moment the phone call comes, I start walking. So there are hacks available which you can do to incorporate such thing, posture correction, like get up and walk for some time after a few minutes. All those kind of things should be incorporated as a part of your daily living, not as a part of something special to be done, but as a part of your daily living.
Correct. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Coming to Fitterfly, right? So I was trying to do some research, as I said, right? But could not find any major players who are into this. So just to help me understand, like who are your competitors, and what is it that makes Fitterfly, what is our USP basically? What makes Fitterfly so special that we've gone on to also raise so much funds, grown up to a certain extent now, scaled to a good level? What is that special thing in Fitterfly?
I think the most important thing is how it was envisaged and how it has been built. The whole focus has been on getting the people outcomes and no false promises. So a lot of clinical validation, a lot of research to make sure that the therapy works. The app has a lot of user-friendly features, like even logging food in our app, you don't need to write anything. You can just click a picture and AI tells you what it is. Even the food logging, like there's a full AI coach. There's a complete AI built on personalizing the diet plan, the exercise plan, the stress and sleep plan. So everything is digital now. So I think one is the way the whole technology has been built along personalizing it for a particular person. Your plan will be very different from my plan if you join Fitterfly. Second is the clinical validation in terms of outcomes are proven. There are more than 80 research papers which were presented at topmost global conferences like American Diabetes Association, European Society, US Endo. Everywhere in the world we have gone and shown that this works on a large set of patients. So that clinical work, trust, validation is the most important key. Otherwise, if you go to two doctors, both of them have an MBBS degree, both may look the same. But you know that some of them will be better than others just because of the quality of training and the type of the approach which they take for handling a patient. So I think the biggest difference is that. Otherwise, there are a lot of players who try to market themselves as a diabetes management company, but you should look at the reviews of the customers. You should look at what kind of technology they use, what kind of research and publication they have done. I think Fitterfly Fitterfly's USP is that all the ingredients put together to give you something which is trustworthy, where doctors are involved in creating this, where there is a lot of research has been done, a lot of good reviews of the customers are available. I think that is our USP, that we are trusted and outcomes are real.
How do customers get to know about you?
So currently, most of the business comes directly from customers. We run a lot of Google ads. We do a lot of organic on at least 100 plus diabetes related keywords because of the kind of content which we have created. We are ranked number one in Google. There's a lot of customer reference. So 20% of the business comes from other customers who've taken our program. There are customers who have given us 30 referrals also because of the kind of results they have seen. There are some doctors who are partnered with us. So whenever they get a patient with diabetes who is early diabetes and doctor is saying, can we wait for 3 months before starting a medication? They recommend either you do it yourself or why don't you join a Fitterfly program and see if it works for you. And
So
plus there are
tie-ups with doctors.
And there are a lot of doctors, a lot of patients who come in an advanced stage of diabetes where medicines have stopped working. Doctor is asking them to take injection. Then patient asks, is there anything else I can do? Then doctor says that why don't you take a Fitterfly program? And for those kind of patients, majority of them do not need injections. They stabilize on tablets once they take the program. Third channel where we are working is we work with Reliance Industries, Tata Steel, Procter & Gamble for their employee wellness program, multiple other corporates. We just started working with a lot of insurance companies as well, where a lot of people have diabetes insurance policies and they're struggling with high claims and all those things. So we have also started now working with a couple of international players as partners, especially in Gulf region. So this is the primary business model. We also work, we have a business model where our APIs and SaaS software is available for pharma partners. So we work with Nestle, Danone, Sun Pharma, multiple other pharma companies, nearly 15 of them, who use our softwares for patient evaluation, marketing, research purposes. So that's the second business model which we work with.
So that's like a subscription-based kind
That's
of
a
thing.
subscription-based annual API SaaS licensing
SaaS
model, typical SaaS model which we do.
Okay, got it. You had told me when we had interacted first that you've run other startups also in the past, but that time you were not, what do you call it, didn't have any background of running a business or a startup or something, and hence I think one or two had failed, something like that you had mentioned.
They didn't fail, but they didn't do as well as
They
I
didn't do
wanted.
as
They
well.
got acquired.
They got acquired.
So one got acquired, rest three have done well, thank God.
Okay, and you had to shut or something also one?
No, didn't shut. It got
Didn't shut.
acquired.
It got acquired. So you've run businesses now in the past. You can be called a serial entrepreneur now.
I don't know about that. Restless you can call it, definitely for
Restless
sure.
bolo jo bhi hai. But how has been your journey about working and running this business? Like from a MBBS to running a business, getting acquired also. Like it's a good thing. Abhi aapko, how much have you got in terms of valuation and everything, that is secondary. But someone acquiring you in itself is one validation कि अच्छा business में कुछ तो दम था कि किसी ने देखा कुछ, आपको कितना मिला, फायदा हुआ, नुकसान, that's a secondary thing, right? But to build those businesses, now the other three businesses are also doing well. Fitterfly having scaled to a certain level, you have raised, I guess, up to a 90 crores, I'm not sure, sorry.
Total 120 crores.
120 crores totally, and valued at what, 300 plus?
Currently at 350 crores.
350 crores or something. So pretty good stage, right? What has been your experience of running so many startups?
So I think it's like connecting those. So first startup was very difficult because
They all have been in health?
everything in health.
Everything in health. Okay.
The first startup was very difficult because we were trying to do something which we thought will be useful to people, but it didn't really achieve a product market fit.
Okay.
We could raise funding because the idea was very bold. It was to bring the topmost doctors of the world on one platform at a click. We got funded by HDFC, we got funded by Venture East, we were on the front page of Economic Times 3 times, so a lot of press, a lot of events, but we realized that India was not ready for transacting online in 2012. Way back. Too early. The tech was not so, app infrastructure was very poor, even the MRI and CT scans were not so good that you could upload them, so we struggled. But we had built a lot of lot of machine learning, not even machine learning, rule engines we had built around diagnosis, consultation process. So we got acquired by 1mg. which was a good way because 1mg was at that time was doing a lot of work around medicines and diagnostics. They were not doing anything around doctor consultations. So we fit in there, and then we had also signed up a couple of insurance companies for second opinions. There's a big problem whether the person needs a heart surgery, whether the person needs a knee replacement surgery. For 1500 rupees, you can get a second opinion which can potentially save you 3 lakh rupees on an unnecessary surgery. So the vision was very bold.
This was all in this platform.
In this platform. And it was doing well, but it was not financially viable because the customer acquisition was very expensive. People used to come on our website, but they never used to transact. Within 1mg system, it fitted in nicely, and after that 1mg has scaled it up to a certain level. So the basic learning over there were two. So that one was, you should have the right kind of co-founder. My co-founder was also a doctor. Here in Fitterfly, my co-founder is a person who has run technology and operations. So
complementary skills.
Complementary skills.
Chahiye,
The second thing was you should be very clear about what product market fit is. Product market fit is not you getting funding, it's not you getting press, it's not people going gaga over you. It's actually paying customers, and a significant number of paying customers, and at a price where you can make you can make sense of unit economics. So we never achieved PMF from that perspective. So those were the 2-3 hard lessons, and then also I think having the right set of investors becomes important. Because a couple of investors which we onboarded at that time, they were individuals. They really did not understand startups. So they were very upset with when the startup couldn't make that much of money and really returned pennies. So that became a big challenge. So then I became very careful with the kind of co-founder, what a product market fit means, when to raise money, and what is the unit economic sense which you should start making. So those were the lessons. The other two startups were primarily hospitals. So I don't know if I can really call them startups. They were functioning startup. There were investors on board. We gave them an exit. So one hospital got acquired at a very, very good valuation, good return to investors, ran a EBITDA of 40%. The other hospital is running at a EBITDA of 20% plus, profitable, a lot of acquisition offers coming in. Traditional business, but a lot of work was done online. So, for example, the website of hospitals went live 6 months before the hospitals were started. And a lot of business comes online into those hospitals.
And this is back in 2000?
So one was set up in 2012 along with this. Other was set up one was 2011, other was 2013.
So again, too early in terms of internet adoption for India.
But still we set up the website first. Website first, online first, lot of online reputation management, lot of content, a lot of original thought process in marketing them in the local areas. Because hospitals typically have a catering area of 20 kilometers. So how do you market those hospitals different from other hospitals? How do you train the staff to manage the people? What are the kind of processes in the hospital when the patient first comes in? How anybody greets them? How even the linen is changed in the hospital? So all those things matter to the patient. How do you do all those things?
Very on ground.
Very on ground, but processes again. It falls down to processes. So overall, at Fitterfly, we have done things differently. So first 1.5, 2 years didn't raise funds, bootstrapped through. Then got some people who understand.
Fitterfly was started when?
2016.
Okay.
1st July 2016. And then 1.5 years ran from home, no office, completely bootstrapped by founders. Then raised the first tranche of funding when we realized we're on to something. Then we had to pivot in 2019. And then 2020 again, we had to pivot. But all along the investors were very supportive. We were very careful. We told them there's only 5% chance of this working out. But if it works out, it will be something impactful. It will make a difference to a lot of people. Plus, we'll do everything honestly. We'll make everything available to you every month. So those are the kind of things which people came on board. Good people came on board, co-founders, employees. So everybody knows that though there's a high chance of failure, but this is something important which we are doing. And as the journey has progressed, the chances of failure have become less and less. Because once you cross a Series A phase, then obviously there is some kind of product market fit. You just need to find how to scale sustainably from there on. That's the biggest challenge. You know there are customers. You know there are customers who are willing to pay you 20,000 rupees upfront. And
for
large
the
set of them.
consultation and the program.
Yeah, 20,000 rupees. So large set of customers, thousands. But now your next job is how you can take it mainstream so that you're above that initial adoption, but now you have to go mainstream to the early majority. And what's the right channel to scale that up becomes the question. It's not about PMF anymore. It's about the channel of distribution which becomes the question. Then what's the next set of investor you should onboard, who not only helps with capital, but also helps you grow, has the right set of connections in the type of channel which you wanted to build.
Interesting. So, someone who is building as a new founder, someone who is building a startup, maybe in the health space or any other space also, and this also brings me to the point that you mentioned that you also invest in startups. What is it? Because you are viewing this as now dual lens. You are sitting on both sides of the table as an investor, as a founder. But when so there would be multiple young founders coming to you also, probably approaching you for guidance or mentorship or something, yeah, funding ke liye guidance or something. What would you tell that raw founder, that new founder, कि भाई ये चीज़ मत करना और ये चीज़ करना fundraising के लिए, or just to grow properly, sustainably? What would you tell
So
these
I
guys?
think the most important thing is what I've realized, that very less number of founders will have an exact idea of what they will end up doing finally. Most of the businesses I've seen is 90% of businesses will go to a couple of near-death experiences. They will have pivots. So what is the most important is you should have the right set of team. If the team is not right, nothing else is going to happen. Because startup is ultimately just people. So a lot of startup founders come to me and I look at their team. I said, boss, तुम लोगों की team ही ठीक नहीं है यार, मैं क्या करूँ, मैं invest कैसे करूँ? If you, and second is, are they resilient people?
But team में मतलब क्या? When you say team means what?
So if a non-doctor is coming to me and trying to do a healthcare startup and there's not a single doctor in the team, I'll be very worried. They should have at least one doctor who understands healthcare deeply if they're trying to do a medical startup. If somebody is going to do a fintech startup, then one of those guys should have been from the finance space. Technology is always an enabler.
Yeah, it's
But the
always
person should understand finance, that industry. Suppose they're going to launch a digital payment system, they should understand how the payment systems work in the first place.
RBI norms, etc.
Yeah, so if they'll take a lot of time to figure out that, and the high chances of death in those kind of situations. So I think getting the right team with the right skill set, complementary, that's the first part. If they don't tick on that, then the conversation doesn't proceed further. Then second thing is, are they trying to solve the right problem? Have they faced this problem themselves? Because sometimes people come with 100 million diabetics, big market, but उनसे पे कितना करेंगे आपको? नहीं, मार्केट बड़ा है, बट पेइंग कस्टमर्स कितने हैं उस मार्केट में? फ्री वाले बहुत हैं, पेइंग कस्टमर्स कितने हैं? So I think market size estimation is often wrong, and sometimes we don't even understand the market. So by doing few conversations, we can understand whether these founders are vested into solving that problem. Have they faced this problem personally? Are there enough number of people like them who will like to pay for the solution which they're initially proposing? And then what kind of work they've already done. Some of the founders come with just a presentation without doing anything. They're like, हमें idea है, अरे idea are dimes and dozens. Idea is nothing. Idea तो मेरे को दिन में 10 आ जाएंगे. Execution is everything. So if somebody comes to me who has done already one year of work into it, they have made the right connections, they have the right founding team, they have some kind of initial success or product available, initial something, very spark, जिससे आगे पूरा आग लग सकता है. I would be very interested in knowing more with them, and then building a relationship with the investor. I won't like to invest in the first go, because I've seen so many startups where everybody rushes in and it just burns to the ground. Are they raising the right amount of capital for that round, or they are being very greedy? Are they looking at investors as partners, or they're looking just cash to come in? So I will be interested in investing into a startup at early stage where I can add value to them. I can guide them. I can give time to them. Are they coming for that, or are they just coming for cash? Pure cash though I won't be able to give, because I won't understand the startup. I won't be able to interact meaningfully with them. So I think those are the kind of things which become very important to an investor. And on the other side of the table, when I go to meet investor, I make sure that I know them. I read about their LinkedIn profile. I look at some of their videos if they are well known. I understand what do they care about. Then in the first meeting, it's always about building a relationship. And like we raise money from Amazon, the person who invested in Amazon, I was speaking to him every month for 10 months before I even asked for money. With
What were you speaking about?
Just telling him how we are thinking, brainstorming with him. I knew Amazon is interested in healthcare, but I just wanted to understand how deeply they wanted to think about healthcare. What are the problems?
And does the vibe match?
Does the vibe match? Would I be happy with this person meeting for a coffee or a drink or a dinner some of the evenings? Because
just trying to date him before getting married.
It's important, because a startup will invariably go through bad times. And if you have chemistry there, then things will work out. They will support you. We went through a very bad patch in between, but Kamaljit Singh, who's from Fireside Investors, he's been so kind enough. He put his personal money in the round till the money came from the other investors. Personal money as a loan to the company. they do this only because they see you,
They
that
trust you.
they trust you. So that building the trust, knowing them for an extended period of time, and then asking for money is always a better thing, because then they will be ready, because they know that this is a person who's genuine, he's doing the work regardless of money coming or not.
This is so true. This is so true.
People don't invest in building relationships.
This
And
is
some
so
of these
true.
investors, you just build a relationship, don't even ask for money, it's fine. It's an important relationship for you. Sometimes they'll help you with something else. So some of the calls which I get these days, though the investor I pitched 3 years back, they never invested in my company, but they're giving business to me. Some of their family member has diabetes, some of other opportunities which they saw, and they said, oh, Arbinder se baat karwa do inka. That is invaluable.
I think this investing in building relationships with your investor may or may not work out with him, but it's so important. This is something which I harp on a lot to all my founders. कि सीधा LinkedIn पे spam मत करो, सीधा email पे spam मत करो.
Find a connection and don't do cold calling. Very, very less chance.
Don't do cold calling.
Just find a connection. In today's day and age, with LinkedIn, social media, everything available, it is impossible that you cannot find a connection. And if you're not that resourceful, then possibly you shouldn't be a founder.
Yeah, and see, you will get a lead. You'll get the phone numbers. You might just take a 10-15,000 bucks ka subscription on some lead ka platform. You'll get their phone number. You'll get their email ID. और वो मिल जाता है तो सीधा don't spam them with investment. And hence I always tell them, see, when you're looking to raise any capital, especially when you're in the early stage, we understand you require it, right? But plan it 7 to 8 months in advance. So that 4-5 months you keep in building relationship with
Send
your
them
investor.
monthly updates. Whom have you met?
Yeah,
You
send them monthly updates.
What's happening?
Ask them for a cup of coffee, whether you can go and meet him just for a round of brainstorming. Have them as a mentor for a few months. Understand whether they are sitting in your proper profile or not. Even you gauge. Even he will like to gauge. Maybe indirectly you all are gauging each other. You've not asked for money yet, but indirectly you're gauging. Do some other kind of activity which does not immediately imply onto them कि यार ये सिर्फ पैसे के लिए आया है. Which becomes a big red flag for any investor, and which is what I tell to all these founders with whom we are working. सबको ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ बोलता हूँ कि भाई एक चीज़ इस पे इन्वेस्ट करो, टूट मत पड़ो किसी के ऊपर.
And even when you meet somebody, ask them for a connection. So like some of the VC funds I met initially, they said too early stage, or we don't understand. They said it's too early stage, or we don't understand this market. We haven't invested in healthcare. So I knew that in their portfolio there were some companies we could work with. Or through their LinkedIn connection, I knew that this person knows that person who's key to my business. So ask them for a warm introduction to that person. And that worked out very, very well. A couple of VCs gave me introductions which gave me a $500,000 of business. So that makes sense, right? So you should do your research very thoroughly. If they like your idea, even though they may not invest, if they like you, they will do that kind of work for you.
Yeah, when you're not sounding desperate, when you're not sounding like, like a turn off. कि भाई ये पीछे
That
पड़ी
was
है.
actually one feedback given to me by one VC. Arbinder, you look desperate. Don't do this to yourself. So that was way back in my first round. After that,
Of Fitterfly.
For Fitterfly, yeah. So what happens is whenever you, even though I had done a couple of startups, but when you start new, you don't want to have any baggage. So for me, as a surgeon, I have a waiting list of 3 months for surgeries. I go to other countries also. So I have to change my mental model when I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I have to be ready to sweep the floors.
वहाँ
I
पे
have to
demand ऐसा है.
really push the people to work with me. While there is a
Yeah.
waiting list in my hospital to see
Yeah.
me, here it has to be a very different mode. So I have to let go of all the baggage. But in 2017, when we were, after 1.5 years, we were trying to pitch. My pitch was a little desperate, as you said. And the desperate pitch is always very, very obvious through the body language.
Yeah, and I think that, every founder who's starting out their first or second round, they come off as that. Very few of them that I have met or we have worked with would be, अच्छा ठीक है अभी पता है 3 महीने शायद it is down season, but it's okay, we are willing to wait. We want to just start working and be prepared of what is to come after 3 months or 4 months and start meeting and connecting with investors. So can you help us with that? We're like, that is fine. Okay, ठीक है, you are understanding that, we make them understand कि ये है. कुछ लोग समझते, कुछ लोग मतलब most of them will not understand because they are wanting impromptu. And that's why we tell them, at least if I'm speaking somewhere, somewhere I'm there as a guest speaker or something, I'll try to highlight this point. You plan 7 to 8 months in advance.
That much time it takes.
उतना time आप plan करो, or even 10 months for that matter. 5 months will just you build relationship with 4-5 good investors, network, go to events, post events, connect with them at a personal level, go to their office or call them at your office, have a cup of coffee. Don't ask for money immediately, because right now you are not sure how much money you need, but yeah, you know that you will need something maybe, but after a few months. तो अभी से उसको पीछे मत पड़ो. Share them your idea, share them your vision, share them your
No,
personal
share them
story.
your problem also.
Share them the
Sometimes
problem.
they have seen many more startups and through various routes. Sometimes you ask them for guidance, and that small guidance
Yeah.
can change your entire business model.
Yeah. You ask them for guidance. So this is something which I understood when I was doing my first season, and I was on a podcast with Girendra Kasmalkar sir. He's the managing partner at Pentathlon Ventures, Pune-based VC है, B2B SaaS they do predominantly, and he told me that when he was an operator, like he was running his one business, IT business, before he like when in his young days. Now he's also 50, 55 something odd. But
50 is young. I'm turning to be 50 next year. 50 is very young.
Sorry, I should have said young.
50 is the new 30.
50 is the new 30, yeah. So he told me that what I used to do is, and he still does that he has calls scheduled with at least 7 to 8 professionals or senior people or his mentors, colleagues to whom he looks up to. Every month for 30 minutes, he has calls scheduled with those people. जिसके साथ he has like it's a mentoring call. It's just that they give me some insight जो शायद मुझे नहीं पता है या मुझे उनसे समझ में आता है. And that hit me really bad because I being a solo founder, I didn't have anyone to talk to or look up to. किसके साथ भाई share करे, कुछ problem है तो क्या करे, whom to share to, right? And from there on, after that episode, I asked Girendra sir, कि सर अभी आप बन जाओ मेरे mentor, मैं आपका time लूँगा. And we bonded from that episode really well. He's like, ha, you let me know. You've raised a huge round right now, right? Which is probably for many founders, it's a dream or a vision कि ऐसा total 120 crores का funding वगैरह उठाना है. I want to build that scale. I want to build that kind of a startup, which you've done it. You've been in that, you're in that, shoes right now. What does it take to convince an investor at that level? एक हो गया एकदम अर्ली स्टेज पे, ठीक है, आइडिया अच्छा है, MVP थोड़ा
So early stage में तो it's idea, a real problem, a MVP and a good
founder
team. And a good team.
Uh-huh.
Not only a founder, but I think the overall team. At this stage, a lot of these funds like Series A, they were, when we closed in June 2022, they were all asking about what is your team, what's your N-1. That becomes a big problem for them. They say if your N-1 team is good, then you'll go far. And
what do you mean by N-1?
So if I'm number one, then who's my -1?
Oh, okay.
So like they look at 3 critical functions. One is who's heading the growth, second who's heading the operations, and third who's heading the technology. These are 3 main functions in any startup. If you have a solid operational guy, a solid growth person, and a solid technology team or a head of technology, then everything falls into place. So these are the 3. So first is obviously they ask for this thing. Secondly, they look at how good is the product market fit. And from there, what is the right channel of distribution for you? Are you distributing through the right channel which is sustainable? So that was the second question which they were asking us. So beyond this, they also wanted to know who are the previous investors on board. Do they have a buy-in? Are they co-investing in this next round? So if they get a signal that the previous investors are again reinvesting, that's a big plus for them. So fortunately, in our previous 3 rounds, all the investors have reinvested again. So that becomes
in this 2022 round.
Yeah. So all previous, in fact, we are doing a small round now. All the investors are reinvesting. So that becomes a very, very good thing to have, because then you're carrying your investors along with them through the progressive round, which shows that you have good corporate governance. They believe in you. They get the data. So they look at how frequently you audit.
Trust is being built now.
Do you send the MIS? Do you send the updates to investors? So all those things they look at. How the company is governed till date, and are the previous investors still on board or they're falling through? Some investors may fall through because some of the VC funds have a fund size cycle, and they have a mandate not to invest beyond a 3 or a 4 million check. So even if you're raising money, they may not be able to invest, but most of the other investors at least should be carrying through in the next rounds, especially if it falls within their mandate. So if the team is good, you've achieved certain kind of N-1 especially. If you've achieved a certain kind of scale in terms of unit economics, showing those numbers, having the right channel of distribution, plus you have previous investors still betting on you, then you can easily sail through.
So that was something that you could have, you
Yeah, in 2022,
could
we had all these
convince.
things in place. And then good relations with the incoming investors. I was speaking to them already. Amazon, I was speaking for almost 10 months. The other investors also, I was speaking for almost 6 months before we actually asked for money. And I told them, I'm speaking to you to tell you about the business. We'll be raising the money next year. In fact, some of the investors are happy that most of the people come to us कि 3 months में पैसा चाहिए. You're saying 9 months पर देखेंगे. So that became a good thing.
बट इन दैट मीन टाइम यू कुड अंडरस्टैंड, यू कुड गेज द वाइब कि इनके
Yeah.
साथ बैठ सकता है भी कि नहीं, ये समझ पाएंगे कि भी नहीं.
Whether they're
And so
long-term
on.
investors,
Whether they are long-term
whether they'll
investors.
understand the business, they'll have the patience, because some of the times things may not turn out as well as you hope to be, and then you have to pivot, you have to change the business model. Well, these investors support you through the pivot or not. That also becomes a very important point.
Got it. How do you take investors' money, as a pressure or a fun kind of a task?
In my earlier startup, it was a pressure because these investors were not really aligned with us. And my co-founder was the CEO. He promised the earth and the moon. And probably we did not set the expectations right. But in the current startup, our investors are fantastic. It's a joy to work with them. In fact, both the board members are available on WhatsApp. Within one day, I get a call with them. And both of them, if I ask them for any introduction, even if they don't know the person, they'll find out a way to get me an introduction. So right now it's fun because I went through a little bad patch personally when the business was not doing so well a few months back. I was really questioning myself if I'm the right CEO, and actually went to one of the board members and asked for advice. And they said, you just realizing this is a very big thing. That means you know what are the problems you're facing. And it really helped me with the thought process, and which strengthened my performance actually. And I had the confidence and the openness with this board member to talk to him about this. So I think that becomes very, very important. So right now it's total fun to work with all the investors, and even the investors who are not on board, I still have such a good relation with them. I can message them anytime, I can call them. I send them monthly updates for the last so many years. So I think just the trust, and they know that what we are building is the right way to build. We are honest and transparent in communication. I don't feel much pressure from the investors. Not in the last few years, not at all. Same in the eye hospital. We didn't face any pressure from the investors at all.
Got it. So if you do it in the right manner and you enjoy that and you set the expectations straight early on, I think then you are at a better terms with these investors.
Absolutely. And when there is trouble, tell it. Don't hide it. A lot of the time when numbers are not going well, you try to cook up some numbers or change certain. The fundamental truth of revenue cannot be changed. Some of the investors try to show, some of the founders try to show GMV, which is such a bad metric to show, or some kind of other cooked up analysis like adjusted EBITDAs or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's coming a lot in the market.
Yeah, so I think just investors realizing that you are giving them the truth every month will build longer trust, and the first sign of trouble you should inform them, not try to hide it, because that will build long-term trust. There will be setback with the news. There were a couple of setbacks with us, and we immediately informed it the same day. Same day the email went that we are passing through this problem. It's a very big business risk, and this is the risk. This is what we are doing to avert this risk or to overcome this risk. This is already in progress, and we'll keep you informed in the next 7 days what's happening. So twice it happened, and we immediately sent an email assessing the risk, telling them the actions we are taking, and once we needed a support, so I wrote to them that this is the support we need. Can you provide this support? And they came forward with the support. We didn't even delay it by a day.
Got it. Are you like this also now as an investor when you invest in a
I
startup?
would expect this from my so our investments are led by my wife, because she is more thorough, and I don't have time as a founder. So when we are making the investment, I just go through it once, but I don't do the direct calls with founders myself. So we expect communication from the founders, and ideally you should communicate if you're a founder. So out of the 30 investments which my wife has done on our behalf, hardly 7-8 of the founders are communicating regularly. Others are not even available on phone calls or SMS. They don't reply to emails. It's horrible.
इतने बड़े हो गए.
Some of them, actually, two of them, when they're closing down, even in that moment, they showed their true colors. They were very good in communication. That's what I respect. You should not run away from difficult circumstances. Your communication in difficult situations and hardships is what defines your character. In my earlier startup, we didn't run away even till the last day. I was the last man standing, and that's what 1MG wanted to take care of. He said, you guys have been there, face this problem. In our earlier startup in 2019, when we were facing difficulty in raising funds, 25 employees, and we didn't have money to pay for 6 months. And I realized funding is getting delayed, so I took the 25 people in a room. I said, we have two choices. I let go 50% of you, or all of us work at 50% salary for next 6 months. There's no guarantee we'll get funded, but it's your choice. I'm committing. I'll work without a salary, and those 25 people are still with us. And they have good amount of equity in the company now. So we made sure that we give them good ESOPs. Hopefully, when we do get acquired and make IPO, each one of them will make 1
Good
crore
money.
each.
Yeah, I think that's very
But
important.
they see the honesty and transparency from the management. Same thing goes to the investors. There's only one MIS, which is internal and external. There's no two separate MIS, one for investors, one internally. I've seen those kind of things also happening.
Wow, that also happens.
Yeah, that also happens.
Interesting. Okay. Coming to your little on a personal side, right? What does money mean to you today versus what it meant to you when you started your professional career? Not just business, but professional career.
So money was very short. I remember I never had enough money.
This is, we are talking about Punjab.
Punjab, or even when I came to Bombay, there was no money. I was working in a medical college at a job of 24,000 rupees per month, which was in 2007. Until 2010, I hardly had money. Always struggling, always loans, set up startup. Still, everything was on loans. Never could take a vacation properly. Nothing. Money at now, after exiting the eye hospital business, has not been a problem. There is zero loan. The cars are bought with single check. But it's no longer, I know that I'll always have more money than I can spend, because as a doctor, as a qualified professional, I know that even if my startup doesn't work, money is not a problem. So money is not the thing which will run me from here on. I keep refusing offers of joining as a super specialist doctors at like 2-3 crores a year. A lot of these offers, I keep refusing them, because it's not going to drive me. It's not going to make sense for me. What I'm after right now is to make sure that money is always there in the bank to support me in the bad days. I have enough money for my frugal travels. We backpack and we travel, me and my wife. There are no kids. We don't want to leave money for anyone. We leave it back to the society in some format, either as an educational institute or as a fund. But money for me right now is a reflection of how many jobs and how many businesses I can create. So I definitely want to take this company to $500 million valuation, because that will be a reflection of that this business is so good that people are willing to pay for it. It's changing their lives. That's the mark I have in mind. So just getting that stamp to $500 million valuation will mean that this business is really good and it's helping people, and people are willing to pay for this service. And the partners are happy, and we are making a difference.
That was my one of the last questions, that what is your vision in the next 5 years for Fitterfly?
Given a choice, I will never sell this company. I enjoy every single morning. I get up in the morning and I'm already 15 minutes, I'm sitting in the bed and thinking about what more we can do. Given a choice, I'll never sell. But that being said, we raised money from investors. Investors need to recycle the money. They need to give it back to their LPs. They need to make returns. So we'll have to find a way to give return to the investors in a good format, so that their faith in the startup ecosystem is restored. And the LPs who invested in this fund, they invest for the next set of investors as well. So the cycle has to go on. So if that means that we get acquired or we get IPOs, that's fine. But otherwise, this is a business which I really enjoy.
Has driven you to
I
another
wake up every
extreme.
morning, I said, can I do this for life? Can I run this company for life? And can I help many, right now we are managing diabetes and heart disease. Can I solve asthma problem? Can I help patients with cancer who are struggling so much? Can I help people with neurological diseases? Can I help people with orthopedic problems? Can I bring in more devices into India? Can I bring more innovation? Can I remove the disparities in healthcare? Can I work with healthcare ecosystems like governmental ecosystem? Can I make the program so cheap that everybody can have it for 50 rupees a month? So there's so many things which can be done. It'll keep me busy for the next 10, 20 years for sure. But that being said, investors have to get their return, and the cycle of money has to go on.
Wonderful. Very interesting. We'll come to the last bit of it, which is the rapid fire. Okay. So be quick, be rapid. First question: if Fitterfly would not have worked, then what would you have done?
Oh, I would have gone back to surgeries, very simple. But 3 times, 3 days a week. I don't want to be a full-time doctor ever again.
No.
No,
Very
doctors have
stressful.
a very unidimensional life.
Very stressful life.
Stressful and very unidimensional life. But
What do you mean by that?
they live in their own world, cocoons. Nothing against the doctors. That's how the infrastructure is built. A lot of ego issues, health problems also occur. So I just want to work as a doctor 2-3 days a week to give back to society and teach medical students. So that's what I would do. But not for like every day, 5, 6 surgeries which I used to do in AIMS. I don't want to do that.
Got it. Second, valuation or value addition? What is your North Star?
Valuation right now.
Okay.
Because valuation reflects everything else. This was a very interesting question. We were debating, can founders get an extra equity if the company achieves certain milestones? So we discuss revenue, we discuss EBITDA, but then we realize all these things fold up into valuation of the company. So you get valued more if you have more customers who are paying you. You get valued more if you're EBITDA positive. You get valued more if the company is scaling up faster. You get valued more if your NPS is more. You get valued more if your senior management team is retained. So everything ultimately folds up to valuation in a funded business. Value addition also folds up into valuation in a certain way. If you're adding value to people's life, they will pay for your product and your valuation will rise. So for me, it's very, very clearly valuation.
Okay, got it. One tip to startup founders?
Be resilient
And patient.
and patient.
We've learned that throughout this episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Wonderful. I think Dr. Arbinder, it was great to have you on this show. Thank you for being patient and resilient throughout this episode.
You're telling a doctor to be a patient.
That is not that patient, but this patient. But thank you. I think it was very interesting. I got to know a sector which I don't have much knowledge about. Health is one of the domain which is probably my weak point, so to say. Though we are sector agnostic and we have worked with health tech startups also, but ये एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जो मुझे थोड़ा कभी कभी ऊपर से भी जाता है sometimes. Even in stock markets, when I was a research analyst and we used to do corporate finance investment banking in stock market, health and agriculture, these are two sectors जो थोड़ा मेरे को ऊपर से जाता है. I understand, if I put my more time and efforts, I'll definitely understand, but initially it will take some time. But thank you. I think I understood and I learned quite a lot about entrepreneurship, about investments, about diabetes, about just having a good, healthy lifestyle to maintain yourself or maintain your inner peace and outer self also. So thanks a lot, Dr. Arvind. Thank you.
Really enjoyed interacting with you, Devansh. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.